Hello my friends, this is a Husky mower and it was given to me by a neighbor. This had sat in a field for over 2 years and he could not get it started. He thinks the motor did not have a spark. So this is what I've done. First I checked the battery. It would not hold a charge, so I purchased a new battery. Before I did that, I wanted to see how bad the motor was and if it was worth repairing. So the neighbor thought that the motor was also seized up. Testing the ignition switch to see if it would start, I replaced the battery, and when you turn the switch to the start position, you hear absolutely nothing. Now, taking a set of jumper cables, I have it connected to a good battery, and I'm connecting the negative to the case of the motor, and right here this is the starter and this is the power for the starter. Now I'm going to test to see if the starter's good, see if it'll spin. If it spins, it should engage the Bendix and turn the motor over. If that does it, that confirms that the motor is not seized up, and it will also confirm that the starter is good. Now, once the battery cable is connected to the ground, you do not want your positive cable to touch any of the metal. You only want to touch the starting wire or the terminal here. So you got to be real careful because of the close proximity to the metal on the starter housing. Now when you do this, caution that it will throw a spark, and so don't jump when it sparks. Jumping could make you hit one of the other metal, and that would short out your battery. So I'm going to take this cable and real steady, I don't want to touch any other metal, and then we make contact. Okay, the starter motor turned, Bendix engaged, and the motor turned over. So that tests a lot of things in one quick simple test. Okay, if you wanted to start your mower this way, you would have to turn your ignition switch to the on position, so that would give it a spark. So the next thing that I did, I wanted to see if I did have a spark. So I took starting fluid, sprayed into the carburetor, turned the ignition switch on, fired it up, and it did run. So that told me that I did have spark. The engine was good, the timing was on, it did run. So now I need to look and see why the ignition switch is not running power to the starter. Okay, to check the ignition switch, first thing you want to do is see if the voltage from the battery is making it to the switch. So when you look at the positive terminal here and it's coming down, there is hidden right in here, it's an inline fuse. This fuse is a 20 amp fuse and it was blown. So I replaced this fuse and that put the power to the ignition switch. So that checked out. But it's hard to locate the fuse. There should be one somewhere in the line, and of course that fuse is not in the heavier cable. It's the lower, smaller one that goes to the ignition switch. That's where the fuse is. New battery is installed. Next thing we want to do is see if the engine will turn over and run. But before I do that, I drained the gas tank, put a new fuel filter in. I don't want the old fuel to be running through the carburetor. That fuel is over 2 years old. Okay, we're ready to crank the engine. Turn to the start. Try it once again with the choke. Now the motor runs about 5 minutes and then it stalls. So I tore the carburetor apart, cleaned it out, put it back together. Same situation. It'll start, run, 5 minutes, it stalls. This is a common situation that I found in the past, and there is a fuel solenoid, a fuel switch at the bottom of the carburetor, and when that heats up, a lot of times it loses its magnetic pull and it allows the valve to close, so that shuts off all the gas coming into the bowl, and that is why the thing is shutting down. So I need to replace that sensor switch. Trying to locate it online, I found it's cheaper to buy the entire carburetor than to buy a new solenoid, fuel solenoid that would replace the one that's on there. The solenoid that I found, the part, they were asking $75. A new carburetor with the same fuel solenoid was $19. So that's a no-brainer. I purchased a new carburetor with the solenoid. So I need to install that and then test it again. Right here is the new carburetor. This is $19. And you can see right here at the bottom, this is the fuel shutoff solenoid. And it came with new gaskets and a new gas line. This fits both Husky and Craftsman. This is where the carburetor is. This front unit here comes off, and you can see down here where I'm touching, this is the fuel cutoff solenoid. The new solenoid is on the new carburetor. After you install the carburetor and connect the fuel line, what you need to do next is turn the ignition key to the on position right here. Okay, you can hear a click, the relay click, and that's the fuel solenoid. Okay, now the new carburetor, or if you tore the old one apart and cleaned it, the bowl will be empty. So now you have to allow fuel to get into the new bowl. So give that about a minute or two and then try starting the engine. Okay, that's been about a minute. Hit the choke. Just finished mowing my yard, ran it about a half hour. It ran perfectly. Here's the total cost of the repair. New battery, $27. New carburetor with fuel cutoff, $19. Coil, $7. Air filter, fuel filter, and spark plug, $6. All these were from Amazon, and I'll include a link in the description to these items. Total cost, $59. Thanks for watching, my friends. Bye-bye.